Right, so for today's video, we're going to be talking about a situation that seemingly has been going on for a while, but has actually become a lot more well-known recently because of a TikToker calling it out. Now, there's a couple of people you need to be aware of here. The first one being Ray, who is a TikToker who has recently called out a hotel. And the hotel that she has called out is M Social Hotel in Times Square. In general, it's a pretty pricey hotel. I do imagine that hotels in Times Square are just pricey in general. It seems to be about £400 a night, so around $460, which again, in Times Square, I'm sure there's places that are more expensive than that, but personally, I've never paid £400 a night in a hotel before. Now, the reason why Ray has recently called out this hotel is because she is claiming that the hotel have scammed her. And I mean, we can even see some text on screen straight away in the original video that says, "Beware NYC hotel smoking fee scam." And Ray goes on to explain that she booked this hotel, she was out for the day, and then when she actually got back to the hotel, there was a notice on the door saying that she'd been fined $500.
Hey guys, so I really wish we weren't making this video right now, but unfortunately, I don't know what else to do. We are staying at the M Social Times Square Hotel, and we were gone today for all day. And we came back around 5 p.m. to find something stuck to my door that said they were charging my room $500 for smoking. We didn't even go into the room. I just took that immediately to the desk, the front desk, asked to talk to the manager, and I said, "Hey, this can't be possible. We don't smoke. Anybody here knows that I don't smoke. Neither of us smoke. Nobody was smoking in the room. How are you charging me $500? What is this based on?"
Now, interestingly, as we'll see later, there have been a lot of claims against this specific hotel for something very similar. And we are going to take a look through them. Obviously, we don't really know which ones are telling the truth, right? I'm sure there have been some people that actually were smoking in their hotel room and got the fine. But in Ray's case, she has very strong evidence to prove that she wasn't smoking in this room. And when we actually get to the hotel's newest response in a newer video, it starts to become very sketchy.
So then he showed me this smoke report that apparently came from our room. I'll show you guys. This is it right here. And this is going to be backwards for you, but it says here that the smoke report picked up smoke coming from a room between 4 p.m. and 4:30.
Okay, so this is interesting, right? They have these detectors in their hotel rooms that show if someone is like smoking or vaping. I've actually seen them respond to a lot of reviews, which again, we're going to read later, basically saying that these detectors are accurate, they can tell the difference between different types of fumes. If they go off and they say you're smoking, it's because you're smoking. They are very confident in these. But in this case, they said that the smoke was actually detected between 4 p.m. and 4:30 p.m, to which Ray says she wasn't even in the room.
You asked me where we were. We weren't even here. We were outside. We were exploring the city. We weren't even in the room. And we have proof of it. I'll post it here so you guys can see.
Yeah, so we don't actually see the proof until the end of the video, but I feel like it makes sense to actually show you now. So what we're going to see here is that Ray has posted some pictures from her camera roll that she took, and it actually shows the time on the pictures. For example, this one is at 8 minutes past 4. Another one, which is ironically at 4:20. And then another one just after 4:30. And then Ray also goes on to show some reviews from people that have had a similar experience, and we'll get to that. So already, to me, that seems like some pretty solid proof. One thing we don't actually see on these pictures here, though, is the date, right? So I guess your response could be, maybe those pictures were taken on a different day and she just posted the video later. But again, we are going to see the hotel's response in just a second, and they don't have any claims against Ray like faking the timestamps of her pictures. In fact, they have a different excuse, and again, it's a very sketchy excuse in my opinion. So at this point, Ray's obviously speaking to the manager. She says, like, can you not check the cameras to see when we came back? Can you not check the data on the key cards for the hotel room? I'm not actually sure what data they have on there. Maybe they do have like the times that it was scanned. I guess that would make sense. But at the very least, you should be able to check like the security cameras, right? To see when we left the hotel and when we came back. To which apparently the hotel manager just straight up declines this request.
Photos and everything. We came back around 5 o'clock. So how can a smoke detector pick up smoke coming from our room when we weren't even here? And so I told the manager, I said, can you look at your records? Look at the timestamp on the key cards we use to gain entry to the room or the elevator. Look at the cameras, the security footage. We weren't in the room. So how can you charge me for smoking when we weren't even here? And all he could tell me is that this is done. So the manager said it's done, that there's nothing he can do, that he's not going to check, that he wasn't going to pull any other records, and that I could just dispute it with my bank.
Yeah, I mean, this genuinely seems ridiculous to me, right? I'm sure there are people that do get these fines and maybe were smoking in their room. But you have some guests here who have proof on their phone that they were out of the hotel room when these detectives said they were smoking. So surely at that point, you should be checking to make sure that it is correct, right? It's not like they just came to you and went, oh, it's lying, you know, no proof, but it is lying. They've came with some evidence, right? So surely you want to get some evidence evidence to make sure that you are correct in fining these people $500. But as we're hearing in this video, he wanted absolutely nothing to do with this.
I don't know exactly how to go about this, but there has to be something that can be done, because I have proof we weren't here. I don't understand how this can pick up smoke if we weren't here. I said, could it be possible that it was coming from a different room? And he said, no, it came from your room. So I have no idea, but this is really unfair. And especially because when we tried to talk to him, he wasn't helpful at all. All he could tell us was that it was done, that there's nothing he can do, and that he basically just abruptly ended the conversation. It was like, hey, this is done. Like, there's nothing else I can tell you. So we are trying to appeal this. I am reaching out to them. I'm emailing them. But I just wanted to let everybody know, this is fucking bullshit. This is a scam. Don't stay at this hotel. We were having a great time staying at this hotel up until this moment when they're trying to scam us out of $500 with no proof other than a piece of paper telling me that they think somebody was smoking here at 4:20. How convenient. When we don't smoke, when I told him, I said, bring somebody here in the room. They can inspect every corner. They can see if it smells like smoke. And again, where's the proof we weren't even here? And yeah, he said it's a done deal. So
yeah, so like I mentioned earlier, there've been a lot of people that have very similar claims against this hotel. I actually can't go through them all in this video because I would be here for fucking ages just reading them all, but let's just have a look at a few of these. So we have a review here from a few weeks ago. It goes on to say, avoid this hotel, $500 bogus smoking fee scam. They basically go on to give a very similar story to what we just heard from Ray, saying like they don't even smoke, they have clear proof they weren't even in the room at the time. It then also goes on further to say, to make matters worse, we later discovered that we were also charged a resort fee that we were never told about, tax on the bogus smoking fee, an optional donation that we never agreed to, and in total they were billed $773 beyond the charges already paid out for the 5-day stay. Again, we have another review here from a month ago, basically saying they got a $500 fee without any evidence or chance to explain themselves. And you remember earlier when I said like the hotel respond to these and they clearly are very confident in their devices? This is what I'm talking about. In all of our guest rooms, there is a device that constantly monitoring the air quality to ensure that the room and the hotel is an absolute smoke-free environment for all of our guests. These devices accurately report when detecting any smoke particles from smoking or vaping activities. They can also accurately differentiate among steam, shower, aerosols, hairspray, candle, cooking, and etc. The device in your room collected and analyzed smoke particles from your room and confirmed they were smoke particles that violate the hotel and NYC indoor smoking policy, which is why you were charged. We've also posted notices in all of our rooms to let our guests know that if they smoke or vape, they will be charged $500. So again, they're very confident in these devices, and I'm sure they maybe have caught some people that actually were smoking or vaping, but clearly, in my opinion at least, right, it feels like they're not exactly 100% accurate. I don't know in which cases, especially when we're reading these reviews on Google, right, because all we're reading is the review. But I mean, again, in my opinion, looking at Ray's video, bearing in mind that she has the screenshots, like the pictures to show that she wasn't in the room at the time, and then we're going to get to the hotel's response in a second, which seems incredibly sketchy to me. I do feel like they got that one wrong, in my opinion. So it feels to me they're not 100% accurate. Again, another one here saying we were charged for a smoking fee. We tried to refute since we weren't even in the room at the time. My sister and I do not know have we ever smoked. They refused to remove the fee. And again, another review here from a few months ago saying the $500 smoking fee and they don't even smoke. Yeah, I would be here forever if I read them all. There are a lot of reviews, and it's actually not even just on Google either. I mean, if you look at TripAdvisor, very similar. There's a very lengthy review here talking about the $500 hidden fee. And again, in this review, they go on to say that they don't even smoke, so how could this be possible? Looking on Facebook, there's also a bunch of people on there saying, has anyone else stayed at M Social in Times Square and got hit with a $500 smoking in the room scam? They've even edited this and said we are absolutely non-smokers and no one smoked in our room. There were a bunch of people saying this, right? This is something that has happened a lot. Now, this is where we get to the hotel's response, which, as I've been saying, I think seems pretty sketchy. So Ray goes on to say that she was contacting the hotel, trying to get more information, trying to resolve the issue, and then they try to give some evidence to back up their claims, and it has nothing to do with the pictures that Ray took, proving that she wasn't in the hotel room, but it's actually that the time frame that they told Ray previously that smoke was detected in their room was wrong.
Hey guys, I bring fresh and hot updates about the hotel situation I posted a few days ago. So I've been messaging the hotel to try to get the charge reversed and try to tell them to look at their data and everything to prove we weren't in the room. At the time, the report, they were alleging we were smoking in the room. And they just responded back to me today saying, shocker, surprise. They said, I'm sorry, there was a confusion. The smoke detector picked up smoke not at 4 to 4:30 p.m. like we said before. It actually picked up smoke between 10 and 11 a.m., which is conveniently a time that I was present in the hotel room.
So let me get this straight, right? When Ray previously went to the manager at the hotel and said, why are you charging us $500? They printed out a graph that showed when the smoke was detected, between 4 p.m. and 4:30 p.m. But once Ray shows proof that she wasn't in the hotel room at the time, they have now came back and said, oh yeah, actually, it wasn't even then. It was actually like earlier in the morning. Again, it's just my opinion, but I'm not buying it, man. They literally printed out a graph and showed her when the smoke was detected, and apparently that's just irrelevant now. But we do have a new graph to back up their claims, as we can see here in an email that says, hi there, Miss Riani, I'm so sorry I pronounced that wrong. It appears that there is some confusion in regards to the time that the smoke was detected. The time frame that the smoke was detected is always within an hour or so of the first spike on the graph. In this case, it detected smoke between 9:15 a.m. and 10:15 a.m., not around 4:30 p.m. And we see this graph here, right? So apparently this spike within the hour is when the smoke was detected. Now, in comparison, if we look at the previous graph that Ray was actually given, it's quite hard to see because it's very low quality, and obviously it was backwards in the original video. I've just flipped it to see it better, and it's still fairly bad quality, but you can make it out to an extent. And one thing you can definitely make out is that it says PM and not AM. And even on some of these times, you can actually see it. It looks like it says 04 something, then 04 something. And yeah, like I said, bearing in mind everything, you know, bearing in mind the pictures with the timestamps on, bearing in mind that their response was nothing to do with the pictures having the wrong timestamps on, so that makes me believe the pictures even more. Their actual response was that they got it wrong, and that the time that they said the smoke was detected was wrong. And now it just so happens to be at a time frame when you definitely were in the hotel. It feels like something fishy's going on, doesn't it? Now, there is a couple of update videos that Ray's uploaded. There's not all too many updates to really talk about. She kind of just goes on to respond to some of the things that people have brought up in the comment section. Some people saying maybe it was like the people who cleaned her room, maybe they were smoking or vaping or whatever. Ray basically responds to this saying that she doesn't believe that's the case.
A lot of people are also saying it might have been the cleaning people, the housekeeping, and I don't think that was the case, because when we were leaving around 11 a.m., the cleaning lady was outside and she was like, hey guys, do you want me to clean your room? And we were like, no, we're good. We had already discussed, I don't like people. We were just there for 2 days. Like it wasn't like a big deal. She's like, oh, do you guys want fresh towels? We're like, we're good. We're still fine. She was super nice. She called, have a good day, whatever. And we put the non-disturb on the door. The room did not look disturbed. When we came back, I looked at it. I smelled the room around 5-ish after we talked to the manager, and it did not look anything was out of place.
Ray also goes on to say, like, it'd be alright if it was just, like, some faulty equipment, you know, and they had the chance to really explain what had really happened. It feels like they don't even want to give Ray a chance. It just feels like they want to trust their device 100%, even though from their side of the story, the device can be wrong, because the timestamps were wrong, right?
You know, shit happens. It's okay, you know, like if the equipment was faulty, if something's going off, like things happen, mistakes happen. My biggest issue with this whole situation is the fact that we weren't even given a chance to being able to explain or have management work with us to try to understand. We weren't even in the room in the time this alleged smoke happened. It tells me this is malicious, because if they were actually concerned about making a mistake and wrongfully charging somebody, and if I have proof that I wasn't even in the room, we would say, hey, no, let's check the key entry logs, let's check the security camera, let's check everything we can. I suggested they go to the room and inspect it and see if it smells like smoke, and they refused every single thing that I try to say. It looks like they're used to dealing with this. They're used to dealing with upset guests about the situation, but their response is that this is done.
Yeah, I mean, look, we obviously don't know for 100% fact what has happened here, but it does feel like something dodgy is going on, and the fact that they changed the time of when the smoke was detected, it all just seems a bit weird. And I think it goes without saying, if they really are charging people for something that is completely false and they are knowingly doing this, there needs to be some repercussions. Clearly, they can't keep doing this to people. Again, that's an if, right? I'm not saying for 100% fact, but if they are doing this, there should be something that is done about this. Now, the problem is, with it being for $500 in this case, it obviously lowers the chance of people actually taking it further, maybe going to small claims court, because chances are they'll be able to dispute with their bank and get the money back, right? So people might not want to go through the stress of taking it further. But that's obviously bad for future guests, that if they are really doing this knowingly and falsely, that it's just going to carry on. But I guess we're just going to have to wait and see what happens here. Now, bearing all of this in mind, I would love to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. What do you think has happened here? Do you think they were right to charge them? Do you think that this detector is going to be 100% accurate? Do you think Ray's in the right and that she wasn't smoking in the room? If you do think Ray's in the right, do you think that the hotel are doing this on purpose and knowingly charging people falsely? Or do you think it was maybe like a technical issue? Just let me know all your thoughts in the comment section down below, and I'm going to leave a video there. So if you did enjoy, please leave a like down below, subscribe if you are new. Also, if you're interested in some other content, me and Emily have a channel where we do a bunch of vlogs. If you're interested in that, we've been uploading on there a lot more recently. So again, if you're interested, that's linked in the description down below. And yeah, until the next one, I'll see you guys in a bit. All right, goodbye.